BTS's press conference turns tense when Taehyung takes a dig at Jungkook about his brother. But one old video changes everything and brings tears to everyone's eyes. "You're just like your brother." The words ripped through the air, sharp and sudden, loud enough to slice through the chorus of camera clicks and soft murmurs in the conference hall. The room fell silent, as if someone had hit mute on the world. Every pair of eyes turned to Taehyung, who stood rigid, jaw tight, chest rising and falling like he'd been holding those words in for far too long. His voice had echoed through the mic like a thunderclap, and now, the only thing louder was the silence. Jungkook didn't move. He just looked down. Beside him, Jimin froze mid-reach, lips parted in horror. RM leaned back, stunned into stillness. Even the reporters, seasoned, skeptical, always hungry, had nothing to say. No one had expected this. Then, in a voice so soft it cracked as it touched the mic, Jungkook finally spoke. "Hyung, you don't know anything about him." The quiet tremble in his voice, so controlled, so fragile, cut through the tension like glass shattering. It wasn't just an answer. It was a plea, a wound. The conference was meant to be a celebration. After nearly 2 years apart from military service, BTS had returned as 7. Their reunion had been teased for months. Documentaries, interviews, teaser drops. The press conference was their grand comeback, streamed live to millions of fans across the world. A moment to remember. And now, it would be remembered, but not for the reasons they'd hoped. IT started with a simple question. A journalist had asked about Jungkook's delayed solo comeback, citing rumors of pressure from his family's past scandals. It was nothing new. Jungkook had weathered such questions before, but Taehyung snapped. His expression had shifted, just slightly at first, eyes tightening, a flicker of something unresolved crossing his face. Then his hand went to the mic. "Don't act like you're a victim," he said, voice low and strained. "You're just like your brother." No one moved. Jungkook's knuckles were white around the mic. He said nothing for a few seconds. Then his voice, barely above a whisper, rose. "Hyung, I don't know anything about him." He didn't look at Taehyung when he said it. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. But the weight in those words, pure, unfiltered pain, hit harder than any outburst could have. Taehyung stood there, still as stone, the words echoing back at him. And then he walked out. The conference ended abruptly. Management cut the live stream. Staff scrambled to usher reporters out of the room. The damage was done. BTS had broken, not in front of cameras on a stage, but a moment of silence in a single line. Later that night, the internet exploded. Fans dissected every frame, every facial twitch, every breath. But then someone, an old trainee, a hacker, a fan, no one knew, uploaded something no one expected to a video. Blurry, time-stamped from 9 years ago, buried deep in a forgotten trainee room security feed that IT showed a young man, maybe 19, arguing with Big Hit senior management. His voice shook, but he didn't back down. "That kid didn't start the fight," he shouted. "Taehyung didn't do anything wrong. You're all just trying to blame someone." The man looked eerily familiar. His jawline, his eyes that IT was Jungkook's older brother. He was defending Taehyung. He had stood up for him when Taehyung, barely a trainee, had been on the brink of expulsion for something he hadn't done. It had been messy, political, and hidden. But Jungkook's brother had taken the fall, had accepted consequences that were never his. Armies watched the video in disbelief. Some cried. Others demanded answers. Comments flooded in. "I thought he was the villain. He saved Taehyung, and no one knew. He took the blame to protect the group." My heart's broken. At BTS's shared dorm, no one spoke. The members sat in silence, watching the video again and again. Jin rubbed at his eyes quietly. Suga stared blankly at the floor. Taehyung didn't say anything for hours, but then, just past 2 a.m., a post appeared on Weverse from his account. "Today I lost control that I hurt someone I care about deeply a long time ago. Someone saved me when everyone else wanted me gone." That person was Jungkook's brother. "Jungkook, you were right, I didn't know anything. And now I wish I had known sooner." The post spread like wildfire. Fans reposted it in every language. Others dug deeper into old company files, trying to confirm the story. But before anyone could uncover more, something strange happened. The original video disappeared, deleted from the source, and someone posted a chilling update. All files from the 2014 trainee folder have been wiped from the company's server. The end of the video, before the cut, showed one last sentence from Jungkook's brother, spoken through clenched teeth as he stood between Taehyung and a furious manager. You think he's just some spoiled kid? Look at his eyes. That kid's carrying more pain than any of us. Then the screen glitched. A code flashed in the corner point 2307-0414. It was gone. The truth had surfaced, but something or someone was trying to bury it again. Back in his room, Taehyung stared at the ceiling, wide awake. He couldn't breathe properly. He didn't cry. But for the first time in years, he remembered the day someone had fought for him when no one else would. And now he knew whose brother that had been. Jungkook didn't reply to the Wever's post. Not yet, but the silence between them had changed, and the story was only beginning. The first thing Jungkook noticed that morning was the silence, not the quiet kind that meant the dorm was still asleep. No, this silence felt intentional. Like the air itself had decided to avoid him. Like the walls knew what had happened and were now holding their breath. He walked into the kitchen barefoot. His hoodie was too big, his eyes swollen. Jimin was there, staring into a cup of tea he hadn't touched. He didn't say anything, just offered a weak nod. Namjoon stood by the window, phone in hand, scrolling through what Jungkook already knew was chaos. Tweets, theories, the Wever's post from Taehyung that had shattered the internet. The video, the apology, the line that still echoed in his head. I didn't know anything, and now I wish I had known sooner. Jungkook poured himself a glass of water. No one spoke, not even a cough, until Yoongi's voice, low and rasping, broke through from the hallway. They deleted the original source. Namjoon turned. What? The file, Yoongi said, stepping into the room. The security footage, whoever uploaded it, gone. Traced back to the old trainee server, and then nothing. Everything wiped. But who would even have access to that? Jimin asked. Yoongi shrugged. Only a few people. And whoever it was, they moved fast. Too fast. Something tightened in Jungkook's chest. He hadn't watched the video more than once. He couldn't. Seeing his brother again, hearing his voice, seeing the moment he put himself on the line for someone who didn't even remember. It was too much. Too real. His brother, Jongwon, had disappeared from the public eye years ago after a scandal involving a leaked voice note and a falsified accusation. The company had issued a vague statement, and Jongwon had left Seoul. Most people thought he'd been paid to stay quiet. Others thought he'd done something unforgivable. But Jungkook knew the truth. He just hadn't spoken it, because no one wanted to listen. Until now. Later that day, a package arrived at the dorm at Inno-Sender. No label, just a small white envelope addressed to Jungkook in neat handwriting. Taehyung's handwriting. Inside, there was no letter. Just a photo point, 3 teenagers sitting on the floor of the trainee room, laughing. Jungkook on the left, Taehyung in the middle, and behind them, Jongwon, his brother, grinning, arms draped over both their shoulders. The back of the photo had one line scribbled on it. We were all trying to survive. That evening, Taehyung didn't come home. Jin tried to reach him. So did Jimin. But Taehyung didn't answer. It wasn't until around midnight that a voice message dropped into the group chat. From Taehyung. His voice was shaky, like he'd been walking through wind. I'm sorry for yesterday. For what I said. For not knowing that I remember now. I remember what he did for me. And what I said, what I did to you, Jungkook. I can't take that back, but I'm going to make this right. Even if I have to burn bridges to do it. The message ended. No location, no context. But in the background, just for a second, there was the faint sound of a chime. A bell. Jungkook looked up sharply. The trainee room bell. There was only one place in the entire building where that sound still existed. An old rehearsal studio deep in the basement of their first training facility, long since abandoned and locked off. Why would Taehyung be there? Jungkook left without telling the others. He pulled up his hoodie, grabbed his keys, and slipped out the back. The night was freezing. His breath came in clouds, but his mind was burning. The trainee building hadn't been touched in years. When he got there, the gates were rusted. The security keypad blinked red with dust. He punched in the old code out of muscle memory. 2307, the door clicked open. The hallway smelled like time had stopped inside it. Faint cologne, sweat, old wood, and something else. Something bitter, like regret. He walked past the walls that had once held their dreams and fears. Past the mirrors that had seen them fall. Past the place where his brother had stood, defiant and alone. When he reached the basement stairs, the bell chimed again, and then he heard a voice. But it wasn't Taehyung's, it was Jongwon's, or at least a recording of a projection from an old speaker mounted on the ceiling. If you're hearing this, then someone broke the rule. Someone told the truth. Jungkook's blood ran cold. I recorded this in case I ever disappeared, because I knew someday someone would need to hear it. Taehyung, I did what I did because you deserve a chance. Jungkook, don't ever let them tell you your silence means you're weak, that if you want to know everything about the lie, about what really happened in 2015, follow the trail. Start with the training log. July 14th. Then the speaker crackled and died. The room went dark, and Jungkook wasn't alone anymore. Someone else was in the hallway. Their footsteps slow, deliberate. He turned, but before he could speak, a shadow stepped into the light. Not Taehyung, a woman, wearing a staff badge. One he hadn't seen in years. Still digging up ghosts? She asked, smiling coldly. Jungkook didn't answer. He stepped back, but she blocked his way. There are reasons some things are buried, she said. And trust me, kid, you don't want to see what's underneath. The silence between them had changed. After the press conference breakdown and the viral video of Jungkook's brother, Jongwon, defending Taehyung as a trainee, the once tight-knit bond between the BTS members trembled under the weight of memory and regret. Yet for Jungkook and Taehyung, something deeper had cracked open, something neither of them had dared revisit until now. Everything pointed to a single date, July 14th, 2015. That was where it had all started. Jungkook remembered it only vaguely. The intense summer heat, the tension in the rehearsal studio, a fight between trainees that left Taehyung with a busted lip and Jongwon with an ultimatum. The rest had been a blur, or maybe Jungkook had chosen to forget. Digging into the trainee logs, with help from Yoongi and Namjoon, they recovered a broken file buried in a corrupted archive. The footage flickered, distorted, and incomplete, but one scene was clear. Jongwon standing between a furious manager and a wall of evaluation notes. Taehyung's name was circled. The voice said, "Cut him. He's too unpredictable." Then Jongwon's voice, quiet, firm, "Then cut me instead." The file ended there. But the message was crystal clear. Jongwon had taken Taehyung's fall. Guilt settled over Taehyung like ash. He stayed silent for hours, staring at nothing. When he finally spoke, it was only to say, "I don't deserve to say his name." They didn't stop there. Deep in the old training building, half forgotten, half abandoned, they found the memory room, a dusty archive meant to house footage, records, and incident logs too sensitive to destroy, yet too damning to reveal. Behind a locked door, they found a black envelope sealed with the company's crest. Inside, a disciplinary report. Taehyung's name, not Jongwon's. The offense, instigating conflict, aggression toward fellow trainees. It wasn't true, but it had been signed, authorized, and approved. T the bottom, in red ink, alternative option. Another trainee may assume responsibility. Jongwon had chosen to become the alternative. By the time they returned to the dorm, everything felt heavier. Jungkook couldn't sleep. Taehyung barely ate. The group moved carefully around them, as though something might break again if the wrong word was spoken. That night, Jungkook received a voice message. "Taehyung, I remember now. I remember what your brother did. And I remember what we let them do to him. I don't know if I deserve your forgiveness. But I'm going to find the rest of the truth, no matter what it costs." Attached to the message was a photo. 3 boys. Jungkook, Taehyung, and Jongwon. Smiling in a moment none of them realized would eventually be buried. On the back. "We were all just trying to survive." But survival had a price. A woman from the old staff returned. Older now, but still part of the system that raised and almost broke them. She found Jungkook in the training building, where he searched through more logs. "You want answers?" she asked. "Then start with this. Your brother didn't just protect Taehyung. He protected you too. Jungkook froze. What are you talking about? Her smile was chilling. You were 13. There was a fire. You don't remember, but he does. Or did. Later that night, Jungkook received a text from an unknown number that photoed a burning building in front of it. Jongwon, soot-covered, panicked but alive, and clutching tightly to a thin, trembling boy. Jungkook, the memory slammed into him like a wave he didn't know had been rising. The smell of smoke, the fear, the voice screaming his name. And then nothing. He'd blocked it out, or been told to forget. Taehyung saw the photo too, and in his eyes, something shifted. "This isn't just about me," he whispered. "Your brother saved us both." They had blamed him, forgotten him, let the world label him a disgrace. But Jongwon had burned for them both. And now, the smoke was finally clearing. The fire wasn't an accident. That was the first truth Jungkook faced as his memory came flooding back. Flashes of smoke, heat, a locked rehearsal room, and his brother's hands breaking the window to pull him out. He remembered the screaming. He remembered the smell of something chemical. And most of all, he remembered the door being locked from the outside. Taehyung and Jungkook returned to the site with Yoongi and Jin, sneaking past the closed-down structure's barriers. What they found was chilling. Burn marks on the back wall that didn't match the company's official version of the story. Someone had tried to cover it up. Someone had started the fire. Jungkook confronted the only person who might still have answers. The former staff woman, Min Se-rin. She didn't deny it. "The fire was never meant to hurt anyone," she said. "But Jongwon ruined everything by going back inside for you." Her voice was cold. "Practiced. You were the company's future. Losing you would have destroyed the brand. So they rewrote the story. Painted your brother as unstable." He agreed. "For you." Jungkook nearly collapsed. "He saved my life," he whispered. "And you let everyone think he destroyed his own." The group finally came together. Taehyung, Jungkook, the rest of BTS. No more secrets. No more shame. Jungkook played them the old audio clip Jongwon had left. Namjoon wept. Jimin left the room. Even Yoongi sat down, head in his hands. Then Taehyung stood. For the first time in days, he didn't look haunted. He looked furious. "We owe him everything," he said. "It's time they hear the truth." The next day, Taehyung went live in O Stylists. No script, just his voice, shaking but steady. He told the full story about the fire, the cover-up, the sacrifice. He ended with one sentence. "Jungkook's brother saved us all, and we let him disappear." The internet exploded, but someone wasn't happy. That night, a second anonymous message arrived on Jungkook's phone. But digging too deep. "Stop, before someone else gets burned." They tried to shut him up. The second warning wasn't subtle. Anonymous calls, sudden cancellations, a cryptic message from the company's legal team. "Be careful what you share. There are contracts that don't expire." But Jungkook had already made his choice. With Taehyung beside him, they leaked the original trainee log to a trusted journalist, the one that showed Jongwon taking the fall. The story went viral in hours. Army rallied behind them. Other former trainees stepped forward. Quiet voices that finally spoke, confirming what many had feared. The fire was part of a deeper rot inside the system. But with every truth came consequences. Jungkook's endorsement deals began vanishing. A global campaign was pulled overnight. Media outlets, once loyal, turned cold. Rumors about BTS disbanding resurfaced. Comments were flooded with both outrage and disbelief. And then, the silence. The company said nothing. No statement. No denial. No apology. It was worse than rage. It was erasure. The weight became unbearable. Jungkook sat alone in the dorm kitchen at 2 a.m., hands shaking as he stared at the last message his brother had ever sent him. "Don't hate them. You're going to be bigger than all this. Just remember me when you sing." He broke down. Taehyung found him like that. Silent tears, phone clenched like a lifeline. He didn't say anything. He just sat beside him and handed him his in-ear monitors. "Let's remind the world who we are." The next night, BTS went on stage for their comeback performance in flashy visuals. No pyrotechnics, just them. And in the middle of the set, they did something unexpected. Jungkook walked forward alone and sang a song that had never been announced. That it was a ballad he and Jongwon had written as kids, that a song called Still Here. The crowd didn't cheer. They cried. Army lit up the stadium with their phones, and Jongwon's name trended globally for the first time in love, not shame. The final blow came in silence, and no apology, no acknowledgement. The company remained unmoved, even after Still Here shattered streaming records overnight, even after the public demanded answers. But BTS didn't wait anymore. Jungkook posted at dawn and dramatic photos. No graphics, just a note, black text on white background. It began simply, "My name is John Jungkook, and this is the truth about my brother, John Jongwon." He told everything: the fire, the sacrifice, the silence. How the world was told a lie while his brother bore the weight of it, alone. That he didn't name names. He didn't threaten revenge. He just remembered, publicly, powerfully, completely. He didn't burn anything down. He carried the fire so I wouldn't get burned. By morning, the post had been translated into 73 languages. Celebrities, journalists, fans, artists all reposted it. Within hours, the company trended for all the wrong reasons. Shareholders panicked. An emergency board meeting was called. But Jungkook? He didn't care anymore. That Taehyung's final act was quieter. He returned to Weverse, where it all had started, the place where his words first wounded Jungkook. He posted one sentence: "Jongwon SSI, I was wrong, and now I will spend the rest of my life honoring what you gave us." Beneath it, a photo, 3 young trainees, laughter frozen in time. The same one Jongwon had carried in his wallet. BTS held a press conference days later. Not for comeback promotions, not for fan service, for closure. Namjoon spoke first, his voice calm but cracking. "We were built by more than 7. Yoongi added, "We've lived with the guilt of what we didn't know. Now we do." Then Jungkook stepped forward. That he didn't speak as an idol, not as the golden magne, just as a younger brother. "My brother died protecting the dream I get to live every day. So from now on, I carry his name with mine on every stage." In every note, he bowed deeply, longer than required. When he rose, the room was in tears, as were millions watching across the world. The company finally responded 2 days later, with a generic apology, vague language, no accountability. But no one cared, because Jongwon didn't need corporate redemption. That he had the truth, and the world had heard it. That it's night. The camera pans over a quiet studio. Jungkook stands alone, a candle burning beside him. He's recording a new version of Still Here, live, stripped, raw. Just vocals and piano. The last lyrics drift through. "Even when they tried to erase you, I still hear your name, and now, when I sing, you sing with me. Still here, still flame." The camera pulls back. Behind the glass window, Taehyung watches, eyes soft, finally at peace, fade to black.